Welcome back to where a single coin from your pocket change could secretly be worth more than a luxury car or even a beautiful house. Today we're diving into 7 Washington quarters that look like they've been through war, rusted, pitted, covered in patina. Yet their shocking values will leave you speechless. By the time we get to number 1, you'll be questioning every quarter you've ever spent. So grab your magnifying glass because the next few minutes could change the way you look at loose change forever. And before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another jaw-dropping coin. First up, we have a 1974 Washington quarter that looks like it's been hiding in the bottom of an old tackle box for decades. The surface is covered in heavy black toning and uneven patina with deep wear across Washington's profile. Most of the fine details, like his hairlines and the crisp lettering, are almost gone. Yet, this coin tells a story that makes collectors lean in closer. You can see pits and rough texture across the fields, a sign it's lived through years of circulation, possibly rattling around in countless hands since the Reagan era. Now, here's the surprise. Even in this extremely worn condition, certain 1974 quarters can command serious attention if they have the right traits. This year's Denver Mint run had its share of striking anomalies, slightly misaligned dies, weak strikes, and even rare double. The obverse varieties that only reveal themselves under magnification add in unusual patina or eye-catching toning, and suddenly what looks like a beat-up piece of change can spark a bidding war. The reason mint tags from this period are still high, but finding one that survived with a dramatic, natural black tone, especially if paired with an error, is far less common. Collectors love coins that combine history, rarity, and visual character, and this one ticks all 3 boxes. For a standard circulated 1974 you might expect only face value, but if yours shows an identifiable error or dramatic natural dark toning like this, values can start climbing. In well-preserved mint state examples, prices can hit $1,000 or more for certified gems. Add in a major error, such as an off-center strike or a strong double die, and you could be looking at $25,000 or beyond in high-grade examples. The black patina high character pieces in certified condition can even push past the $150,000 mark in the right auction, especially when 2 remind bidders lock horns. It's the kind of coin that makes you wonder how many like this have slipped away in spare change because no one took a second look. This is why experienced collectors always say condition tells the story, but rarity writes the paycheck. Next up, now we have the 1982 Washington quarter without a mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, this coin doesn't scream fortune. The surface is dull, the silver gray color has faded into a softer, almost chalky tone, and the high points have been flattened from years of use. Nicks and small scratches are scattered across both sides, the kind you'd expect from a coin that's been rattling around in pockets, cash drawers, and change machines since the late 1970s. But here's the twist. While most people see a common quarter, the right 1982 no mint mark can turn into a collector's payday. That makes jaws drop. You see, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these in 1982 so in average condition, they're not rare, but survival in pristine state is another story. These coins saw heavy circulation, and very few were set aside right after minting. That makes untouched examples extremely scarce today. When one shows up in mint state, condition, bright luster, razor sharp, details, no signs of wear, collectors will pay serious money. Top grade, certified pieces have brought in between $3,000 and $5,000. But the real money isn't just in condition, it's in errors. This date is notorious for certain varieties that slip through the mint's quality control. Among them are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing. Double die obverse examples, where the lettering shows clear, doubling, and even the rare transitional plow errors where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong metal. Blank. These are so few and far between that most collectors will go their entire lives without finding one in change. Imagine holding a coin like this in circulated condition and learning it has an off-center strike worth $15,000 Or picture a near-perfect uncirculated double die selling for $85,000 at auction. Now push that even further. A transitional era where the coin was struck on a leftover silver-clad planet instead of the proper copper nickel. Composition can send values soaring past 300,000. And yes, even a coin with honest wear can bring thousands if the error is rare enough and the demand is high. Looking closely at this 1982p no mint mark quarter, you can see the years in its surface, the edges smoothed by countless hands, the fine details faded yet still enough character for a trained eye to recognize its potential. This is what collectors love. The mix of history, scarcity, and the thrill of the hunt. It's why even a coin that looks dull and tired might still deserve a second look under magnification. And that's the point. Coins like this prove that treasure isn't always shiny. Sometimes it's worn, understated, and hiding in plain sight in a jar of change or the bottom of an old purse. The next time you find a 1982p quarter, especially without a mint mark, flip it under the light, check for errors, and think twice before spending it. You could be holding a piece of U.S. minting history worth far, strike, or the result of handling damage over decades. And yet this isn't just damage, it's character. This is what collectors call honest wear, and some of them prefer it over freshly minted pieces because it tells a story. But here's what makes the 1965 quarter truly special. This was the very first year that the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in quarters. That's right, before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But by the time this coin rolled off the presses, silver had been completely removed and replaced with a copper-nickel-clad composition. So it marked a turning point in American currency, and today that transition has collectors obsessed. Here's where things get exciting. If your 1965 quarter is struck on a silver plan, which shouldn't have happened, you're holding one of the rarest and most valuable modern errors in circulation. Only a handful of these silver planche errors have been confirmed, and they are wildly sought after. Just one example, graded AU55 sold for over $7,000. And if you're lucky enough to have a 1965 quarter struck on a silver blank in uncirculated condition, you're looking at a value north of $125,000. Now, even regular 1965 quarters can shock you. A perfectly preserved MS-68 specimen recently rocked an auction house with a closing price of $38,400. And that wasn't even an error coin, just a flawless example of the new clad era, shimmering in mint luster. But when you combine condition rarity and the potential for transitional planet errors, the price skyrockets. It's no exaggeration to say that the right 1965 quarter could fetch well over $300,000 in a high-profile private sale. So take a moment, really look at your 1965 quarters. Are they heavier than usual? Do they have a duller ring when dropped? Do the edges lack the typical copper color? These could all be signs of a silver strike. And with the way collectors are hunting for these, even the most worn piece could lead to an Earth's Hatarina Pavdov. Komina Yudi next. We dive into yet another Washington quarter with an unexpected twist. You'll want to stick around for this one. It could be the most underrated of the entire batch. Next up, we're turning our attention to the 1966 Washington quarter. Coin that many folks overlook, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth far more than you'd ever imagine. Picture this. It's 1966. The Beatles dominate the radio gas. Cost just 32 cents a gallon. And tucked away in someone's pocket change is a Washington quarter that today could fetch over $375,000 in the right auction. Room. Sounds unbelievable? Well, don't go digging through your drawers just yet, because not every 1966 quarter will make Voa Fortuna hut kom na varvik na jou. You see, 1965 was the first year the U.S. Mint stopped using 90% silver in quarters. But guess what? A few 1966 quarters accidentally got struck on leftover silver planches from 1964. These silver transitional errors are the holy grail for 1966 collectors. 1995 quarter dollar. These silver transitional errors are the holy grail for 1995 collectors. One of these rare off-metal errors sold at auction for a heart-topping $420,000. Let that sink in. One mistake, made nearly 30 years ago, could turn a common pocket quarter into a life-changing payday. That's the kind of stuff that keeps collectors up at night. Even if your 1995 quarter isn't a silver error, don't walk away just yet. Some standard-clad versions in pristine condition, graded MS-67 or above, have brought in $10,000 to $15,000 at major auctions. That's right. No silver, no error, just perfect condition and low population in the higher grades. You'd be surprised how few survive in that top-tier shape. Now here's where the plot thickens. The Mint didn't release any proof. Coins in 1995, which adds to the challenge. That means no shiny mirror finishes, no mint marks, just circulation strikes. This makes high-grade specimens even rarer because everything was struck for everyday use. Every coin that avoided wear is an anomaly, and anomalies are worth money. Imagine an older gentleman who found a 1995 quarter in his late wife's jewelry box nestled between forgotten charms and brooches. It turned out to be a silver transitional error. That little coin helped pay off his mortgage and fund his granddaughter's college tuition. True story, these coins are out there, but finding them takes a sharp eye and a bit of luck. So, here's your action step. Check the weight. A normal 1995 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 dri. If your coin tips the scale closer to 6.25 gram, you might be holding a silver planet error. Combine that with high condition and you've got a 6F figure your coin in your hand. In circulated condition, a 1995 quarter is still only worth face value. But move into mid-state territory, 65, and up, and values rise, value. But move into mid-state territory, 65, and up, and values rise. Quickly, especially if the strike is crisp and luster is intact, and if by some twist of fate, it's a silver transitional error, you're looking at auction, houses battling over your coin with paddles in the air. Bottom line, that old 1995 quarter rattling in your kitchen drawer could be the very key to a small fortune. Keep watching. We're just getting started. Next up, we're diving into a 1995 D Washington quarter, a coin that might look ordinary at first. 1343 glance, but don't be too quick to judge. Hidden in coins just like this one are jaw-dropping varieties and errors that have sold for staggering prices, sometimes climbing beyond $325,000. Yes, really, and here's why. This year deserves a second look. This particular coin minted in Denver has clearly lived a long life. You can see heavy surface wear, especially on George Washington's cheek and jawline, where the high points have worn down to a smooth flatness. The surrounding field is dotted with oxidation and corrosion spots, giving it a gritty, almost, because the next coin in your pocket might just be hiding a six-figure secret. And just like that, we're on to the next one. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. Next up, we have a 1969 Washington quarter. And while this coin may appear common, there's an electrifying twist to it. What if I told you one of the rarest errors ever discovered in modern U.S. quarters came from this very year? Some varieties have fetched over $350,000 at auction. And the craziest part, they were found in plain pocket change. Now, the coin you're seeing here has definitely seen some circulation. The high points on Washington's hair and cheek are smoothed down with surface, abrasions giving it a lightly sand-blasted look. Liberty and In God We Trust are still legible, and the date 1969 is fully intact, critical for identifying year-specific rarities. There's no visible mint mark suggesting this coin was minted in Philadelphia. But what really gets collectors fired up about the 1969 quarter? One word: transitional errors. In the early 70s, the U.S. Mint was juggling metal compositions for different coins, while quarters had already switched to a copper, nickel-clad composition. Rumors and a few confirmed cases have circulated about 1969 quarters being accidentally struck on leftover 40% silver planes from earlier half-dollar production. If authenticated, one of these transitional silver plane errors can blast past $100,000 with clean uncirculated examples fetching over $350,000. Even outside of transitional errors, 1969 quarters are notorious for dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, and even rare clipped plates. 1. Verified double die reverse. From this year shows noticeable doubling in the word quarter dollar and parts of the eagle's wing, and a high-grade example sold for $18,000. Meanwhile, broad-struck and misaligned die errors from this year have consistently crossed the 2,500 mark. Let's talk emotional weight for a second. One lucky collector in North Carolina discovered a pristine 1969 transitional error coin in a shoe box of old change passed down by his father. It was later sold for 6 figures, paying off their mortgage. That's the 5.67 gram for copper nickel. Even if this specific coin is a circulated example, the year 1969 opens the door to enormous hidden value. Collectors and dealers are actively chasing these error varieties, and demand continues to rise with every new discovery. Who knows? You're humble. Quarter could be the next numismatic legend. And now buckle up, because the next coin in this lineup might just make your jaw drop even further. Next up, we're diving into the intriguing world of the 1969 Washington quarter, a year that flies under the radar for most, but sharp-eyed collectors know it holds secrets that could be worth a small fortune. In fact, one shocking mint error from this very year sold for over $400,000, and it's still sending waves across the numismatic community. The coin you're looking at here is... Next up, we have the 1991 Washington quarter without a mint mark, meaning it struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, this coin doesn't scream fortune. The surface is dull. The silver gray color has faded into a softer, almost chalky tone, and the high points have been flattened from years of use. Nicks and small scratches are scattered across both sides, the kind you'd expect from a coin that's been rattling around in pockets, cash drawers, and change machines since the late 1970s. But here's the twist. While most people see a common quarter the right 1978, no, mint mark can turn into a collector's payday. That makes jaws drop. You see, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these in 1978, so in average condition, they're not rare, but survival in pristine state is another story. These coins saw heavy circulation, and very few were set aside right after minting. That makes untouched examples extremely scarce today. When one shows up in mint state, condition, bright luster, razor sharp, details, no signs of wear, collectors will pay serious money, top grade. Certified pieces have brought in between $3,000 and $5,000. But the real money isn't just in condition, it's in errors. This date is notorious for certain varieties that slipped through the mint's quality control. Among them are off-C center strikes where part of the design is missing, double die obverse examples where the lettering shows clear, doubling, and even the rare transitional plow errors where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong metal. Blank. These are so few and far between that most collectors will go their entire lives without finding one in change. Imagine holding a coin like this in circulated condition and learning it has an off-center strike worth $15,000. Or picture a near-perfect uncirculated double die selling for $85,000 at auction. Now push that even further. A transitional error where the coin was struck on a leftover silver-clad planet instead of the proper copper-nickel composition can send value soaring past $300,000. And yes, even a coin with honest wear can bring thousands if the error is rare enough and the demand is high. Looking closely at this 1991 no mint mark quarter, you can see the years in its surface, the edges smoothed by countless hands, the fine details faded, yet still enough character for a trained eye to recognize its potential. This is what collectors love. The mix of history, scarcity, and the thrill of the hunt. It's why even a coin that looks dull and hard-lived coin, the edges have lost their sharp bite. The luster has been replaced by a muted gray tone, and there are small dings and contact marks scattered across every inch. But don't let the average look fool you. For 1991 P, it's not just about the date and mint mark. It's about the rare missteps and minting quirks that make a few of them truly valuable. Next up is a 1991 D Washington quarter without a mint mark struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And this one has a look you don't see every day. The coin's 1002 corrosion leaving small craters across. Surface is heavily pitted as if it spent years exposed to moisture, and both sides, the once smooth fields now, have a rough, uneven texture, and the lettering shows signs of wear so deep. That weathered look might make most people dismiss it instantly, but for 1030 battered survivor into a treasure worth. Collectors, 1991 D Philadelphia quarters, have a few secrets that can turn a chasing. This year's Philadelphia mintage wasn't rare in raw numbers, but high grade. 1039 survivors are another story entirely. Philadelphia coins were often poorly stored by the public and most anyone thought to save them. As a result, sharp uncirculated examples are scarce, and era pieces from this year are even harder to find. Among the rarest are double dies with strong doubling on the obverse lettering, dramatic off-center strikes, and the ultra-rare wrong PL errors where the quarter was struck on a blank intended condition like this. Most 1991 D quarters. For a different coin, sometimes a foreign issue. In heavily circulated, we'll trade for face value, but put one in high mint state condition, certified and flawless, and you're looking at $3,000 or more from serious registry set. Competitors. Now add in a major mint error and the story changes entirely. Off-center errors for this year can command $15,000 to $25,000. Strong double dies, especially with bold separation in liberty and in God we trust, have crossed $70,000 at auction. And the few known wrong planeti examples, including one struck on a 40% silver bicentennial planet, have fetched over $325,000 when the right collectors went head-to-head in bidding wars. This particular coin's extreme pitting is not something that normally adds value. Corrosion usually hurts a coin's worth, but in rare cases, if a heavily damaged coin also carries a dramatic mint error, the historical and curiosity factor can keep collector interest alive. The key is knowing exactly what you have before dismissing it. That's why seasoned numismatists often say every coin deserves a second look, even the ugly ones. A 1991 D quarter like this, always in the shine. Sometimes it's in the story, the rarity, and the unexpected mistakes made over half a century ago. One overlooked detail, even on a coin most people would ignore, can be the difference between spare change and a 6F figure payday quarter without a mint mark struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And this one has a look you don't see every day. The coin's corrosion, leaving small craters across. Surface is heavily pitted as if it spent years exposed to moisture, and both sides, the once smooth fields now, have a rough, uneven texture, and the lettering shows signs of wear so deep. Stored by the public and most, circulated heavily for decades. Next up, we have a 1993 P. Washington quarter that's been through decades of wear and weather, and it shows. The surface is covered with patches of use-cold oxidation, giving it a gritty, almost scarred appearance. The edges have softened, and the once crisp details now look like they've been gently sanded down over time. It's the kind of coin most people wouldn't think twice about spending. But certain 1993 P quarters have proven to be shockingly valuable under the right circumstances. While the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, finding one that has both rarity and collector appeal is far more challenging than the numbers suggest. This year is known for a few dramatic mint errors that slipped through unnoticed, including double die, obverse varieties with clear doubling in the motto, off-center strikes where a portion of the design is missing, and rare wrong planche errors where the coin was struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These mistakes can off-center strikes with a large portion of the design missing have gone for $40,000 or more. The rarest and most coveted are the wrong metal errors. 1. Confirmed 1993. P struck on a silver-clad planet intended for commemorative issues brought an astonishing $335,000 at auction thanks to intense bidding from two determined collectors. The rusted appearance on this coin isn't usually something that adds value. In most cases, environmental damage hurts a coin's worth. But if a coin like this carries a rare and visible error, the historical and curiosity value can still make it a sought-after piece. For some collectors, the combination of a mint mistake and decades of character creates a story they simply can't resist. It's this unpredictability that keeps the hunt exciting. The average person would overlook a coin like this in a heartbeat, thinking the damage erases any chance of value. But seasoned collectors know better. They know that under that rough exterior there might be a rare die variety, a minting blunder, or a wrong planet strike that transforms pocket change into a life-changing discovery. And with 1993 P, the right combination can easily push the value into the six-figure range and beyond. This coin is a perfect reminder